The Patanjali Yog Sutras Samadhi path we have discussed so far. Maharishi Patanjali at the very outset said he is going to explain the discipline of yoga, which involves the control of the perturbations of the mind, by virtue of which the self is seen by realization, in the absence of which the mind becomes agitated and one begins to identify with the body and the mind. He then explained that the agitated mind is of different states, and the basis of these agitations is erroneous knowledge and false beliefs. So the first step that you need to undertake is acquire reliable wisdom. So he gave us the sources of knowledge. One is direct perception. I can see it, so I accept. This is a very shaky source of knowledge from philosophical perspective, because your eyes can deceive. A higher is inference. From one thing you infer the other. And the highest is Shabda Praman. Get it from an infallible authority. Then he said that you will need to practice to control the mind. Practice is the key to mastery in every field in life. You have to practice knowledge, you have to practice thinking, you have to practice emotions. Any skill in this world was acquired by practice. Think of this phenomenal field hockey player. Donald Bradman said of him that he scores goals like I score runs in cricket. And his birthday is celebrated as Khel Divas in India. You may have guessed, the legendary Dhyan Chand. When India first sent a hockey team to the Olympics in 1928 in Amsterdam, India was an underdog and they had lost to Netherlands in the heats, demonstration matches. But somehow they made it to the finals. There they defeated Netherlands 4-1, and Dhyan Chand became the highest scorer in the tournament with 8 goals. Subsequently, in the 1932 Olympics, by then he had practiced even further and become a complete maestro. So India now went as the favorites. It was in Los Angeles in 1932. And in the finals, India gave the United States a drubbing of 24-1, which for many years was the biggest defeat in international tournaments, and Dhyan Chand scored 8 of those goals. The 1936 Olympics were in Berlin, in Hitler's Germany. And people used to wonder that does he have a magnet on his stick? His stick was actually broken to check. Now, again, India was an underdog because they had lost to Germany in the demonstration. And by the time they reached the finals, many of their players were sick. All the city of Berlin had been filled with posters, come and see the Indian magician play. So the finals was between Germany and India, and Hitler had come to cheer the German team. Till half-time, they were drawing 1-1. In the second half, India raced ahead to defeat Germany 8-1, out of which Dhyan Chand scored 3 goals. He was now the captain of the team. And it is said that at the time of the medal giving ceremony, Hitler asked him, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm in the Indian Army." And he said, "What is your rank?" He responded, "I'm Lance Naik." Hitler invited him, "I'll give you German citizenship and rank of colonel, come over." So Dhyan Chand is reputed to have said that India is not for sale. He refuted him. But apart from the inspiration, the learning, how did he achieve such mastery? It was daily hours and hours and hours of practice. He was actually a bantamweight boxer until he joined the army. And that is when he took to field hockey. So daytime practice was not enough for him. At night, when everybody would retire in the barracks, he would go out to practice in the field. And his original name was Dhyan Singh, but because his colleagues always saw him practice under the Chand, and that is why the name changed to Dhyan Chand. He used to put the ball on the railway line and keep dribbling it for a full mile. That practice, as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. When you go and see jugglers, sometimes in our JK Yog dinners, Diwali dinners, we invite some jugglers to entertain the children. So in America, they've got fancy names, Horace the Horrible, etc. And you see them juggling with knives. So, my God, I look with astonishment. It doesn't stop there. Then they take the knife from here, throw it from under the leg, and wow, a little mistake and the hand will be cut. So how did they achieve that kind of mastery? All practice. God has endowed this human brain with so much of ability which can be harnessed through the power of practice. That is why somebody said to me in the meet and greet, "Swamiji, I listen to you and it all makes sense, and then I leave and the knowledge evaporates." I said, "Look, this is how the human mind is. That knowledge will evaporate. We are not like Arjun. We heard the Gita once and say, Nashto moha smritir labdha. Shri Krishna, my ajnana has gone. I am now in knowledge. Our mind and intellect is such that big yogis, they admit defeat before it. So what is the solution? The solution is repeated practice. Hence, to make knowledge sthir, to establish the knowledge in yourself so that it is useful to you, the 3-step process is given. Shravan, to hear. Manan, to contemplate over it, what you have heard. And nididhyasan, to repeatedly decide. Then the knowledge remains in your conscious awareness and you can utilize it. Otherwise, somebody comes and says, "Swamiji, everything is all right, but anger troubles me a lot. So give me some gem of wisdom from your scriptures that will help me manage my anger." I say, here is a gem. Supposing I gave you a thorn and said to you, prick it in your arm. You would say, why should I hurt myself? Nobody wishes to do that. Likewise, anger is hurting you. Why do you wish to do that? Don't hurt yourself. He said, "Swamiji, what you said makes perfect sense. Why should I hurt myself with anger?" I said, "But this knowledge will not be useful to you." Why? Because when the attack of anger arises, the knowledge will disappear. You will make the mistake and later on regret. What did I do? This person is so gentle and nice-natured. Why did I get upset upon him for a little mistake? What happened to me? How did I become a beast? You became a beast because the knowledge disappeared. Tattva vismaranat bhekivat. The scriptures say if a human being forgets the knowledge, that human being falls to the level of an animal. To be humane, you need to be consciously aware what is right, what is wrong, what is beneficial, what is harmful. And that requires practice. So this is practice of knowledge. Likewise is the practice of the mind. Practice of knowledge engages the intellect. Practice of the mind. Because he is teaching us how to do nirodh, how to stabilize the thoughts of the mind. So imagine the power of practice. One researcher, K. Anders Ericsson, he has written the role of deliberate practice in the achievement of elite performance. He said there is no born genius in this world. And with sufficient practice, anybody can become a genius. Now, he quotes out there the example of a Hungarian called Laszlo Polgar, who in the 1960s wanted to prove that with sufficient practice, a genius can be cultivated. A very interesting example. He said, I will make my children into geniuses. Which lady is interested? A brave lady, Clara, agreed. They married and had 3 daughters, Susan, Sophia, and Judith. And from childhood they started the practice. They thought, what should we make them geniuses in? And decided in those days, chess was just not a lady's game. People believed, wrongly, that ladies don't have a brain for chess. So they said, we'll disprove them. The first daughter, Susan, they started the practice at the age of 2. And by the age of 5, she entered the Budapest Open. So there, this was under 14 category, she got the first prize. Later on, she became the #1 women's chess player in the world. And she also became the first ladies' grandmaster. Now, the second was Sophia. As a 14-year-old, Sophia, with the training from her parents and her elder sister, she went to Rome to participate in a tournament where there were 4 grandmasters amongst 11 players. It was a quality tournament, and out of a maximum of 10 points, she got 8.5 points, which was one of the highest rankings in a singular tournament. And she defeated 3 out of 4 grandmasters at the age of 14 in what has gone down in history as the sack of Rome. There's a full Wikipedia page on it. But she did not climb too much. She went on to become the 6th player in women's chess in the world. So by the Polgar sisters' standard, she was a laggard. Now the third, Judith, was the crown jewel, the best women's chess player in history. So she became the first, the youngest grandmaster amongst men and women. She even defeated the record of Bobby Fischer. And on occasions, she went on to defeat Gary Kasparov, Vishwanathan Anand, and others. And for 25 years, she was the world #1 women's chess player. Finally, in the year 2012, she retired voluntarily. So Mr. Polgar proved his point about the extent to which the brain has the capability of being trained. Now, look at this. There is an ability, musical ability, called absolute pitch. And what is that? You hear a note and you can immediately identify the scale. It's an A sharp, C minor. Just hear it and identify. This ability of identifying a note without a reference scale is possessed by 1 out of 5,000 people. I have seen music directors from Bollywood who have been in the industry for so many years don't have it. They say, Swamiji, I need a reference scale to see this note. Beethoven did not have the ability, although Mozart did. One of our volunteers does, because her father trained her from the age of 2. So, 1 out of 5,000 has got it. Now look, one music teacher in Japan, Ayako Sakakibara of the Ichiongai Music School, what she did was that she took 24 students between the ages of 2 and 6 and said, you will just have to train for 5 minutes, 5 times a day. At the end of it, after 55 weeks, 22 out of the 24 students had developed absolute pitch. Where 1 out of 5,000 has it, she managed to develop it in 22 out of 24 students. And the 2 who did not were the ones who dropped out of the course. They did not complete it. What happens is that in childhood, the neurons are less, but the axons are far more. And that is why children have the ability between the ages of 3 and 4 to simply hear and pick up a language. Later on, it disappears. This is the programming ability of the brain. And grown-ups, they could not do it in 55 weeks. Probably they needed 5 years to do it. But finally, the brain picked up the neural pathways. So technically, it is possible for anyone. But remember, any skill that you pick up requires practice. And spirituality also requires practice. The control of the perturbations of the mind will be a consequence of hard work. Now, the worldly practice, it happened by itself. How did somebody get attached to tobacco? Did they have to practice? Let me practice happiness in tobacco, happiness in tobacco. It kind of, they savored it and gave a little kick and then they said, and then slowly they were thinking. Sri Krishna says, look, it doesn't happen by itself. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangaha teshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. Look, Arjuna, when people repeatedly contemplate happiness in the objects of the senses, there is happiness here, there is happiness here, then the mind gets attached. I am sure there must be a few Gujaratis out here. So if you go from Ahmedabad to Vadodara, you pass these fields, green fields completely. You know, in Kheda district. Anybody from Kheda district here? There, they will tell you. So, first time I asked somebody, such green fields, and there are no fences to protect. So, my fellow passenger said, Swamiji, no animal eats these leaves. I said, why? He said, because they are tobacco leaves. So, animals have the sense that this is a useless thing. But we humans are sensible. So we get attached to it. Once in Delhi, I was walking by Chandni Chowk, which is notorious for its crowds and footpath sales. One old lady was sitting with a pot and she was saying, come and take this. If you have it, then no thieves will come to your house. And also, no dog will bite you. And third one, you will never grow old. So I said, my God, Americans need to know of the super food. They took the cinnamon from India, the turmeric from India. So now here is the supreme superfood. 3 benefits. Thieves will not come to your house, dogs will not bite you, and you will not grow old. I said, Mataji, what are you selling? She said, Swamiji, I am selling tambaku. I said, tobacco has 3 benefits. How? She said, look, if you keep on chewing it, you will get tuberculosis. So you will keep on coughing through the night. Now, if any thief happens to go by, they'll say, this guy is awake. Skip this house, go to the next one. And then you will grow weak and you will walk with a stick. So when you walk with a stick, the stray dogs in India, they will not come close to you. This guy has got a stick. And you will die before you go old, so you will not grow old at all. So this attachment that happened, whether it was to tambaku or the alcohol, etc., did not happen automatically. Dhyayato. This was involuntary repetition of thoughts. Now, you want to voluntarily, intentionally create the right attachments, the right thought patterns. If you wish to cultivate the attitude of gratitude, then how will you do it? You repeat the sentiment of gratitude again and again. And slowly it will grow on you until it becomes your natural mental state. In every situation, you will be counting your graces. So, you know, that typical cup is half empty or half full. Everybody naturally thinks about the half empty. It's the tendency of the mind. In your life, so many things are right, but one thing is wrong. And your mind gravitates to the negative thing. It is just like if you eat mangoes, not Mexican mango, Indian mango, the king of fruits, and a fiber gets stuck. Then what does the tongue do? It keeps going to check, who is this intruder? Between the 32 teeth, there are 28 crevices, but the tongue doesn't care for the other 27. It keeps going to the one where the problem is. Likewise, in your life, there are 24 areas that are all fine. One area is giving problem. And what does the mind do? It keeps on going to the negative. So this is the negativity bias. Now, how do you reverse it? There are 24 things you can be grateful about. You will have to practice those thoughts.